too far away. It's much too early, or it's far too late. Maybe I'm too old now, I'm just afraid that you'll walk away. You're across the room from me, but it's an ocean wide, and the current's pulling us, dragging me aside. Or you're a constellation, and I'm just a star, blinking in the universe, but you'll never notice me at all.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mini RPG of the Week. You join myself and Swaces in a little bit of a Cold War as we, show off each other's best features, our best pictures. I make no guarantees that these pictures will not change behind me, at least during the stream. I don't know how well prepared Swaces is. He started a battle. I'm not sure if he can win. Swaces, welcome to Mini RPG of the Week. We're very excited to have you here.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I did enjoy the beginning of our little session here, getting ourselves prepped for the stream as well, where, as you can see, I've just got a beautiful set of NuaLaochs behind me. You say that you're prepared. I'll tell you what, NuaLaoch, so am I. So just you wait, alright? There's going to be new, fresh things coming on later on throughout the stream, but I'm so excited to be here casting the Mini RPG of the Week. But I am someone who was still pretty new to Trackmania, okay? I haven't got many hours in the game. I'm pretty garbage, I'll be totally honest. I got like top 1,000 on some sort of track, and I thought I was amazing until I was shut down immediately and told, yeah, actually, you are pure garbage. So I would kind of like you to explain a little bit about this, well, about the game to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's more than fair. The issue is we have some mutual friends who are very good at Trackmania. You know, some of them approaching top UK times on some of the campaign tracks and things. So there's some very impressive players. The one thing that we are just going to note now at the top before we dive a little bit more into format and things is that, well, one of the staples of actually having a Mini RPG of the Week is that we have a server to do it on. Very important. And at the moment, it does sound like we are missing the man who normally does that. So we're hoping that Zeterate responds to the desperate messages he's been receiving on Discord in the near future. If not, we may be throwing to a short break, but for the moment we're going to hold out hope that we do get underway sooner rather than later. So Mini RPG, Swaces, as you say, you're still relatively new to the game, but here's the thing. Mini RPG, it's a super fun style because unlike some other styles, such as, let's say, full speed, like dirt tracks and stuff, like some grass, where you need to remember things like gears, where you need to remember things like speed drifting, you need to pay attention to your lines going into various corners and things, it gets complex. Mini RPG is not necessarily a beginner-friendly style. It still involves some very difficult driving, but what it does do is it's very obvious when things are going wrong or right. When the person crashes off a jump because they don't have enough speed, you can tell what's going on. They didn't have enough speed and now they've crashed because they couldn't make the jump. Yeah, I mean, look, it's all of us. Look, none of us can drive very fast. And it's one of the reasons I really think Mini RPG is a very fun style to cast. And I'm hoping that you'll get the sense of that very quickly as well.
Oh, I love the sound of it. It seems to me that it's a bit like Hot Wheels, you know what I mean? It's going to be your random loop-the-loops, it's going to be all over the place, spinning around, sort of with these crazy cars as well. I mean, I was playing a bit of KBM on it the other day, and I just couldn't do anything. The amount of times that I was just falling off the track. And these are like the beginner ones as well, where they're meant to be easy. And yet I was somehow trash. So bad. So I'm just expecting to be really shown what true Trackmania players are made of throughout this stream, throughout this tournament, the Mini RPG of the Week. NuaLaoch, not only do you seem like the man that knows a fair bit about Trackmania, but what do you know about the players that are possibly going to be coming in today?
Well, it is the question. We've seen some very good players in the past in Mini RPG of the Week. Yannick's we've seen around a few times. I mean, ex kind of TMGL player. Name. Yeah, I mean, look, this is the thing. You might know that name. Lookers Turbo has been playing the last few weeks. He's a streamer from Germany as well. He's been doing very well. Players like Marius, and that's a name that you won't be probably very familiar with. Another German player, but he's been around in the kind of top Trackmania scene since I mean, the mid, like, noughties, okay? I mean, it's a reminder of how
Wow.
old the Trackmania scene in general is anyway, right? There's some very good players that can contest, and the question does come down to who shows up week on week, because also on the line for Mini RPG of the Week is, of course, that top 10 players. We give them a place on the Liquipedia page. A couple of small notability points up for grabs on that one. Very fun. And then the top 3, it's always nice. I believe the top 4 get shouted out on Trackmania News. The top 3, it's just nice to get on a podium. I mean, it's the love of the competition, Swaces. It's just a good time.
It is always a lot of fun. I'd love to get myself involved, but I guarantee that I would be dead last immediately from the start. But thankfully, I get to watch the very best go and do it first time out, so maybe I can learn a few tips and tricks as we go along in the session. There was a few things which you were mentioning, such as, what was it, speed drifting, I think was one of the things that I heard, all that, where I know it's like feathering the drift and trying to be fast or something on the lines of that. I don't know. Again, I don't know what is going on. I'm very confused. Yeah, close enough. See? All right, I'm proud of that. That is fine for me to go on about. But I'm sure to see that all of these players are going to be a lot better at it than I am. But also, I want to know a bit about the track. Do you know anything at this point, NuaLaoch?
We know a couple of things about the track. What I'm going to do, Swaces, though, is because things are delayed a little bit, I think what we're going to do is throw to a quick break while we try and find out some more information. And then we will come back, because we don't want to spoil the track a little bit too much before the players get anywhere close to doing it. Fingers crossed we manage to find Zeterate sooner rather than later. Back to you with more news. If we get any more news, we will come straight back. We will let the stream know straight away what is happening. In the meantime, we're going to throw to a quick break, and we'll see you all back here shortly. Welcome back to Mini RPG of the Week. We're very sorry for any delay this evening. Zetrate just having a couple of issues on his end. Now resolved, he is rapidly setting up the server and we should be underway. Part of the delay is caused, of course, by the fact that literally nobody except Zetrate and the mapper actually have seen the map Swaces. It's part of what makes the competition so fun. Of course, the fact that there are literally no details out there about it. Of course, we get a couple of details about maybe something that'll be happening on the map, but it does mean that when something does go wrong, there's very little we have in the way of recourse of actually setting up a backup server, having someone else set up the server. But I can see the background, we are loading onto the server now, which does mean we should be underway here sooner rather than later.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. My first ever casting over a competitive Trackmania race. It's so good. Liquipedia points on the line, as you said. NuaLaoch, you're going to be mentioned in Trackmania Weekly as well if you manage to get into the top 4. Is there anything even better for first place? Because come on, is it just, you just get the crown? Oh, no.
No.
Gone.
I mean, like, a bit of pride. Like I say, there are genuinely very good players that play in this week to week. As I say, Yannick has won a couple of editions. Marius won an edition. Off the top of my head, I struggle to remember who many of the other ones were. We're in edition number 10. We've hit double digits. But there are very, very good players competing in this week on week, which tends to mean that the competition gets very close. I think it's normally by around round 10, or when we're down to kind of like 10 players, sometimes even 15 players, when we start to see rounds being decided on pure pace rather than mistakes, right? And in a mini RPG, which is, there's some hard tricks, it is really about making sure you get tricks consistently. Given the players at that point will have only have seen the map for the first time 30 minutes before, the fact that you have rounds decided on pure pace, on a style that is all about being consistent and not making mistakes, that's a ton of fun.
It is pretty damn cool, I must say. As well, the no mistake side of things just makes things so interesting to really know who's going to be the most consistent, because as you say, that top 10 area is where the real speed is, what gives you the edge, what really sets you out from being one of the very best players to the best player, alright? Consistency does only get you so far, but still, you'd much prefer to have someone who is consistently pretty quick rather than someone who can be rapid at any given moment, but then halfway through, like let's say in the last 20 or something like that, completely flies off the edge into oblivion, done and dusted. That's it, they're done, their game is over, while the other player consistently gets right to the top, and that's how your name gets noticed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, that's the joy of mini RPG, those mistakes can happen all the way to the end. So we don't want to see anyone DNFing a little bit early. A mistake early can cost you, but at the same time, there's always going to be room to come back into the race. And it is almost a little bit of a tradition as well now. I think we have to let this know up front, Swaces, that we are looking to figure out who our main character is tonight, because there's always going to be one player who is a very good player, who will still consistently find themselves near the elimination zone, and will therefore end up on our screens a lot more often. So that's how you become the main character of a mini RPG competition. You make sure that you're kind of making mistakes, but not enough to drop out at any point.
Oh, that's Giga Brain. That is monumental brain. If you're able to just, teeter... Well, yeah, very stressful. You're not wrong at all about that. I'm sure they're probably sweating just... as they're going along, not enjoying the experience, but still, that's a way to let everybody to know that you're still good enough to deal with the best, even when you're not on top form, alright? And as well, it's exciting being right on the back row, isn't it? Some players are just good enough to be able to judge themselves to be literally in that final elimination spot, get themselves just slightly above it, and just roll on with the punches, just laughing at everyone else, looking in the behind, thinking, I've got about another 2 seconds that I can find here. You guys are done. However, I'm just excited to see exactly what is going on, to learn a bit more about Trackmania myself, and really watch a track which I would be horrendous on and probably would fall off within the first about 5, maybe 10 seconds. So, it's going to be a great experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I'm going to make sure that you and me head into a server after this. We're going to spend some time hunting this map. It's a great way to improve. I mean, look, play a bit of mini RPG, practice some various skills, learn a lot about your car control. It'll be a good time. Of course, our mapper this week, as those of you may have seen on the loading screens that we had, is Mr. Biglew's back again. Did map for us back all the way in week 3. So that's nearly 2 months ago at this point, Swaces. The competition, it was so young back then. We were all so naive. If we knew what we knew now then, well, who knows if we would have kept going. But his was a super fun map. It was a map called Oreo. There was a few fairly technical tricks on it, if I'm remembering correctly. There was a quarter pipe turnaround near the start that caught a lot of players out and was fairly difficult even for some of our experienced players. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he has done this week. I have to say, the description intrigues me. The description of the map is try not to disturb the valley. You are the most crazy Uber Eats driver there is.
What?
That's something, all right.
Is that how we're now going to imagine being the very fastest person in the world? Now, let's say it's going to be some sort of elite racing driver going around the track. Whoa, yeah. What's going to set them to the next level? Uber Eats, got to deliver that burger. How is that going to be the way that someone just all of a sudden turns a dial all the way up to 11 and just flies past the rest of the competition? I don't know. Some people that might work for. Mr. Big Lose as well seems to be one of those people that Uber Eats is going to be, you know, helping them get a little bit better. Maybe it's just a thought of food. For me, that is a brilliant way to get me to improve a little bit better, because you can just hold a string of chocolate or some pizza, I don't know what it is, but anything delicious, I will give it my all to go and get. So maybe this is what the players are going to be going for tonight.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, it's like those NBA players, right? I'm thinking Shaq, I'm thinking Michael Jordan, you know, the players who had to talk, well, they had to, you know, make up stories about their opponents in order to motivate themselves. I think Shaq pulling taking that a little bit too far sometimes. MJ was always one, and he'd, you know, make up stories. He's like, oh, this opponent said something about me that I don't like, and now, you know, I'm going to beat him on court. And it was just something that he'd made up. Shaq took the extra step and would then go and tell the media that the person had said that thing and just start spreading rumors about them in public. I think that's maybe an unethical conclusion to that kind of story, but, you know.
It's a little unethical, I guess. That's a bit of a bad-mouthing move, to say the least, from Shaq. But hey, look at Shaq now. He's an absolute legend. I would love to meet Shaq of any person in the world. Come on, he's like, what, 7'2", an absolute giant, and supposedly the most gentle of them all as well. I don't know.
Finally be Little Spoon.
Exactly. Look, you can be Little Spoon with me, NuaLaoch. I don't know if you're taller than me. You might be, but
are we both going to London next week? I mean, hang on.
We are. Done.
Swaces, you better watch it. You don't want to make any promises that you can't keep. I can see in the background right now that we are loading onto the map. Once again, apologies for any delay, but sooner rather than later, we should be underway with our 15-minute warm-up as players, for the first time ever, discover this map. The map name, of course, is Swaces. It's in front of you. Please tell me.
It's in front of me. Is it
I'll
in front
tell
of me?
you, don't worry.
Where is it?
It's Inhabited Valley. Inhabited Valley by Mr. Big Lose. Try not to disturb the valley. And that means I, for one, am looking forward to seeing some of the scenery, because based off the description we have, that definitely seems to be something that it sounds like Mr. Big Lose has spent a little bit of time on in this one.
I found the thingy where I was meant to be having up the whole time. I lost it, which is why I was really trying to panic find at the last second. But I didn't do a very good job of it. But look, he says he's really happy with the result of the map, the difficulty and the scenery. And from what we're seeing as well already so far, it is quite an attractive looking map. Obviously, everyone else can't see it, but can they now? They can now. All right, there we go. Now everyone can see it. Look at that. That is gorgeous.
That is a pretty little map here for Mini RPG of the week. We love to see some effort going into the scenery, and of course we've had a couple of weeks of that now. Black Pulse, of course, our lovely admin who does a lot of work on the Mini RPG of the week server, putting into the mines a couple of weeks ago. And I mean, it was a bit more bare bones. I mean, it was, you know, here's a desert and a mine in it, but it's really nice to have that aesthetic sense as well in these maps.
Yeah, it is pretty cool, isn't it? A lot of the ones that I've seen so far have been very minute with the detail that has been put in and around the rest of it, all right? Yeah, they're just simple, all right? They're meant for you to just go around, find some sort of improvement on, but this is not only visually beautiful, it's also really interesting to actually watch already, because it's a very, very high level from what I can see as well, because I can guarantee you, yeah, there's no way. Such as what we're watching the Insane here, not even being able to make that next jump. Will he do it this time? Yes, he will. All right. Again, you can see a lot better than I am, but look how smooth they are going around. I don't even know if this is a bad run or not, but it's so good to me. This is amazing. What? I love this.
It's pretty good. It's an okay run, but you can see he lost a bit of speed there through the midsection across the roofs of those buildings and clips a little bit in that clip. I mean, it'll cost him time. Is still 5 seconds down on the PB, and look, we're only a couple of minutes into this warm-up phase. Players are very much still figuring out the correct lines. As Black Pulse, well, he's not figuring anything out. He's just stationary in front of some barrels right now. You love to see it. Yeah, we're looking to see it. I think it's this section I really like, across the roofs at the start, and then heading into the middle of the villages as well. Very aesthetic. And we do have the note from the mapper that originally, you know, it sounds like he built a lot of this scenery to begin with, and he kind of planned originally to have the entire map take place on the roof of the village, and then decided that actually that was just a little bit boring. It was too much of a constraint for the routing that he wanted to do, and now we have this little cave section heading into it. And there is a section coming up here that I want to note when Insane gets to it, if he makes this jump. After this turn around onto the pipes, this is the part that Mr. Big Lose expects to catch a lot of players out, because you can definitely risk that. You can try and carry a lot of speed into that pipe, but you can fall off that very, very easily. You can clip something and you are going to cost a lot of time if you do.
Definitely are. I mean, we're looking at the times already. I believe the creator told us that around 52 seconds is a very, very good lap. And look what we're already getting. 51.7 from that man, the Insane. We're already seeing the ones down the bottom as well, which are still around that 60-second marker. But we're already noticing the improvements that are coming on through. I'm sure there are some lap times there already, which are going to be enough to confirm their spot in the next round. But they still want to keep on going around, don't they? They want to try and improve themselves as much as possible.
Here's the nice thing, Swaces. None of these times matter.
Wait. Oh, it's a practice, isn't it?
Yeah, this is just a straight up 15-minute practice. Listen, you've managed not to pull it off. You haven't pulled a full mockfish on Mini RPG that we can actually cast a warm-up round.
No
because
way.
This is just... No, you haven't done that. That's fine. This is just the 15-minute warm-up. This is players discovering the map, you know? It's full-time attack. They can restart as much as they want, and they're just going for it. So the times that we see, it will be players pushing themselves, right? I mean, like, there's that little bit of seeing how fast you can possibly go on the map. We're already down into those low 51s, as you kind of alluded to. Mr. Bigloo said himself, 52, a good time, but he kind of said he wasn't sure how good a time he was going to be able to set, because he's not as skilled as some of the players in this. We tend to see players push it pretty far in these opening rounds. I honestly wouldn't be surprised, given how early this is, if we get down to the low 50s on this map now before the warm-up ends.
Wow, we're already on 51.1, NuaLaoch, so well, I'd say we're almost in that sort of area already. You know, it's so early on as well. We're only 5 minutes in as well. That's the most impressive thing, that within the 5 minutes that we've had straight away, people have gone down from doing, what, about 70 seconds a lap already to the 50 seconds. It's 50.7.
All right, we might hit 49.
We're going to hit 49. Yeah, I'm saying it now. We're hitting 49.
Yep. And I think I'm looking as well at this leaderboard, and while there's some very good players, you know, the 51s we were seeing, and kind of that leaderboard for a little while was a lot of players that don't necessarily get kind of top 8, top 16 finishes in Mini RPG of the week. So I'm expecting some of the players who tend to do very well to start appearing on that leaderboard, especially in the back half of it. I'm already seeing some that you'd recognize. Beta Toast has just fallen off the leaderboard there, but Heave up top, Acid up there as well. Helzinka has been at the top for the last couple of weeks. These are players that, you know, they come back and they tend to stamp their name on the competition every week.
Yeah, it's nice to have your name known, as we were mentioning earlier on, but also in a specific tournament, the Mini RPG of the week.
Here come the Irish.
And we're looking at that. Is that what I just went and did there or something?
No, I just spotted Walshy and Dank down in the bottom left joining the server. Listen, nice. I'm excited to see the Irish join it, alright? Like, I mean, I will flame them if they go out nice and early. We've had issues a couple of times with the Irish going out very early, but maybe this is the week. Babs is here as well. It's going to be a good one.
Oh, it's got so many different players. I love how many different nationalities you get playing in on this as well. We're already seeing that Dank has just not even managed to make that first.
There's the 49, by the way.
I think. 40, oh, wow, already have. What a surprise. Look who it is.
I mean, surely we don't get 48. Like, I don't know how much time there is left to save in this map. One of the nice things that I'm kind of seeing about this map so far, Swaces, is that it is very flowing. And Mini RPG, especially compared to kind of more traditional long-form RPG maps, tend to be that, right? A lot of the tricks flow together very nicely. You can chain together a very smooth run. The jumps just work when you carry your speed. We're seeing that on this map in particular. These kind of long banking third turns, if you carry your speed into them, Dank is crashing a little bit. They're just going to feel very, very clean to drive. This is genuinely a map I'm thinking it's going to be a bit of fun to play afterwards as well.
Oh, 100%. I'm looking forward to our little session that we will absolutely have after this, because I want to get more into the game as well, because I'm sure that playing with all of these others as well, just flying around this track is just a great time. I know, as I've already mentioned, would just not even manage to make it out of the first round, but even just going around in the practice and seeing everyone join us along for the ride would be such a pleasure to have. I'm already pumped about it, and I haven't even played the map. Look, we've already got another 49-second lap with the 777. The jackpot has been hit, but that jackpot did not give that first place on the record so far.
Yeah, not quite. Beta Toast, though, player is going to be pretty consistent in rounds as well. There's someone we could expect to go deep, especially if he is feeling the map. We're looking forward to seeing how that does go out. And listen, I'm going to give you the heads up now, Swaces. After the time attack phase ends, you know, no eliminations. It is just a warm-up as players learn the map. There is going to be one round of no eliminations. That's the round that Mocked Fish ended up casting and that ended up on the Trackmania Esports Clips channel. So I'm just warning you now on that. I could have been very mean. I could have told you it was the first round and made you cast it. But I figured I'd be nice for once, you know?
See, this is why I love you, NuaLaoch. You're so nice to me at all times. You even gave me terrible photos to put as my background for free, which
Totally
is just
fair.
the best thing ever, right? Yeah, exactly. Look, mine are scattered all over Twitter from a certain someone within you. Scorto, absolute demon. But, you know, it's time to hopefully get a little bit of revenge as we keep on going through. I'm hoping that you pull some funny little faces or some weird shenanigans, as you normally do. But wait, why do you say yes?
Well, no, it wouldn't be me. Wouldn't be. I'd never. I would never. Listen, Acid is on fire in this warm-up round. Is continuing to hold on to that first spot. Has improved by 2/10 down to a 49.5 seconds. As we're seeing a couple more players sneak into that top 50-second time at the moment. A couple of very good players as well being kind of kept out of it. You know, like I said, we saw Looker's Turbo here. The mapper himself, I saw driving a couple of laps. I'm not sure if Mr. Biggles is planning on competing fully, but if he is, well, he hasn't managed to break the top 10. In fact, you know, the top times right now are kind of 2 seconds in front of what he was reckoning as a very good time.
That's insane. That is absolutely insane. I think that just shows the difference in skill level that is within Trackmania. We see it in a lot of games, but when it's really down to the numbers that you can see on the screen, that's where you can actually notice the difference in ability. Look at the top of that leaderboard, 49.5. Then as we go down to 8th place, 50.88. Over a second in difference between the top 8. That's such a ridiculous margin for such a tight area as well on the leaderboard. That's not many players, but the difference is astounding.
Yeah, absolutely. As we have a couple of questions coming in the chat. You know, Black Pulse is checking, is this respawn before the quarter pipe jump respawnable? You know, you could go backwards if you needed to, but otherwise it's going to be very punishing in rounds. So let's just keep an eye on that checkpoint. When we get to it, Beta Toast is fully pushing the envelope right now, trying to figure out exactly how much they can risk on each of these jumps. One of the staples of a mini RPG track, of course, as well, is these jumps. And trying to minimize airtime on them, right? If car is not touching the ground, car does not accelerate, Swaces. That may shock you to learn.
Slow.
It's not even, you will maintain speed, you'll slowly drop off, but if you can minimize your airtime, you know, you'll gain more speed. And on a track like this, which has so many small jumps that you can try and minimize your airtime on, it's definitely going to cause some problems. Very good players are going to have to risk in later rounds, and we're going to see some crashes there.
Oh, look at the speed that Acid is going through there, though. So smooth on the drifts, just managing to keep all that momentum behind them. And as they go around this corner as well, look, they just absolutely rocket past everybody, going right into that final section as well, jumping over the roofs of the town. It's so impressive to see. As we've already mentioned, the map is a beautiful thing. And look at that. It's a 49.4. Acid just running away with the show.
Yeah, that's a clean finish as well. That last turnaround is so interesting. I think a clean turnaround on that last U-turn just before the finish line could potentially decide a couple of rounds, because if you don't get that absolutely clean, if someone else can accelerate out of that a little bit quicker, this is a fire start for Acid. I say that. He had a very nice roof section, but was down 4/10, so not sure how much it mattered. I'm looking forward to seeing that end in rounds, is really the point I wanted to make there.
Yeah, okay, right. I'll accept the redemption in what you were going on about there, NuaLaoch. It's okay. We will go a bit mental with what we're saying at times, all right? However, what somebody knows is going on is the numbers that we're seeing on that leaderboard. We're still in practice, 3 minutes left to get their laps in. When we get to the latter stages of this tournament, what numbers are you expecting to see for the lap times? Because so far, our judgment of, oh yeah, the low 50s doesn't look very accurate whatsoever.
Well, I mean, this is the thing, right? Early on, especially round 1, when eliminations go live, you know, there is a timeout. After the first player finishes, it'll be kind of 25, 30 seconds, and anyone who doesn't finish in that time will be eliminated. This map, compared to some of the other maps we've seen, maybe not going to be the hardest, so we might not see that many eliminations. We have seen up to 18 eliminations in the first rounds before on some of our kind of slightly more difficult mini-RPGs. Just as players genuinely cannot make it to the end before the cutoff. I'm not expecting that this week. I'm expecting maybe kind of, you know, 6, 7, 8 is going to be my guess. I think there's about 50 players in the lobby. But in the later rounds especially, because here's the thing to remember, right? In those early rounds, when mistakes are deciding rounds, the top players are essentially just continuing to practice. They get another 15 minutes of practice of getting consistent on the map. By the time we get into the pace rounds, where it is just no mistakes, everyone's position is going to be decided by how fast they can drive the map, we're going to be into those low 50s, I reckon. We might be into the 49s. Players won't be quite hitting PBs most of the time. We'll see a couple if past performance is anything to go by. But I think kind of, you know, a low 50 is going to be a very good round-winning time in this session.
Okay, that will do for a lot of players, definitely. Do you think we're going to be seeing a lap record which is better than what we're going to get in practice as well? Because you never know, there could be a perfect lap brought out. You do tend to get that.
Yeah, we do tend to. I mean, someone just pushes, right, and absolutely smashes that lap record at some point. We'll get a couple of nice times. Unfortunately, given the nature of the format, Cup of the Day style, where, you know, we kind of are following the place where the excitement is happening, following the elimination battles down bottom, we don't tend to get to see the runs. We kind of just look up at the leaderboard every now and then and go, oh my god, someone has just driven another record.
What? I find that so interesting as well. It is literally just like watching racing. That's what Trackmania is, and I'm a big fan of cars. I used to be, you know, person that worked on cars. I can't even remember what they're actually called, but whatever. That's what I used to do. Yeah, a mechanic. That's exactly what it is. Wow, that's incredible. But I've
rethinking my decision to allow Swaces to talk about the channel right now.
My gosh, a person that works on cars. Yes, you know
it's made so much funnier by the fact you're describing something you worked as.
I know, literally that was my job. I used to work on cars. I hit them with sticks and I hit them with bars, whatever it was, to fix them, but I didn't know what my actual job title was. I'm sure all the people that I served had a lot of confidence in me, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It sounds like it. Look, we're heading into the last 24 seconds here of our warm-up. We will be into what is, a reminder, a warm-up round. There will be no eliminations on the first round. It's just to make sure, it's to give everyone a bit of time to make sure the server loads correctly for them as well, to make sure that no one's getting those big join lag spikes or anything in the first round, and also just to give everyone a little bit of a sense of the what rounds are going to feel like. That's where we're heading. A C does keep the local record. Morpio very close to him at the end with a 49.45467, I believe that is, but that is within 200ths of a second almost. And from there on down, some familiar faces rounding out our top 8. Kebby, Beta Toast, Heave, Sly, Helzinka, all been up there before. The Insane, I'd have to double check. That may be a relatively new name on me, doing very well up near the top.
Definitely, I saw them going around a fair few times. They did make a couple of mistakes, so consistency may not be where they need it to be just quite yet, but at least the speed is there, alright? Now they've got time to just slow things down a tad, make sure they get all the movements right, and then increase the speed as they go along, because, as you say, they're not going to have to worry about this first round, alright? No one's going to go out, everybody stays in. It's almost like a bit of extra time to learn the map just that little bit more, but in a competitive environment, rather than just practicing, just flipping around, trying to do whatever you want, testing out all the different angles you can attack, all the different lines you can take through each and every corner, how the bounces are going to affect you, where to drift around, and all sorts of random shenanigans that they're going to get up to. But now it is going to be a test of consistency as well, so I'm excited to see exactly what's going to happen.
One of the things I'm going to keep eyes on is, look, SC has the top time in the lobby right now. But one of the things that we didn't really see, he did spend a decent amount of time on board with his car, is maybe backup strats. We didn't necessarily see him looking for those alternative lines. We saw him just pushing full speed to try and set great runs almost every time we got on board. And who knows, maybe that does mean we'll see him over-risk in one of the later rounds if he does push a little bit too hard, if he doesn't quite get comfortable with the safe lines, because having those safe lines in your back pocket is very important in a mini RPG as well. But based on this first round, I'm not sure we have all that much to worry about. I mean, look, again, no eliminations this round, but a seed is looking pretty clean with it.
I mean, if you're going to be up there in the top two, just having a small little battle with Heave TM up at the very top of that leaderboard, already getting straight through to that next round. I mean, obviously no one's going out at this stage, but it's nice to know that you are one of the top contenders, isn't it? Everybody else near the bottom just fighting to try and show that they're not going to be down in those elimination places. That 1 minute and 5 seconds there from Helsinki may prove to be a position where it will be a little difficult to try and survive in, but you never know. Anybody could just turn the heat up at any time and just come up with an absolute wonderland. That's an interesting line to take, trying to just fly over the whole map instead of taking it, but sure, it can work. You never know. It could become an absolute worldie of a route, but I don't think that's going to really work out too well.
Yeah, that seems like maybe, you know, a lucky bounce on a shortcut trying to figure things out later. Sailor Lake also joined the server just before this first non-elimination round started. So, I mean, I guess congrats for managing to get all the way to the end, nearly figuring out the route. Good luck remembering it, Sailor Lake. We will have eyes on you. Let's see if Sailor Lake can manage to avoid the bottom four here. We're on to our first round of Mini RPG of the Week, edition number 10.
Oh, here we go. I'm excited, NuaLaoch. I don't know how to commentate on this, but I don't think you need to. All you need to have is the excitement about the game. Oh, this is a really tough start for the players at the back. Lou was one of the players that we did see, but now we're seeing everybody else right at the bottom still trying to increase their pace, find a little bit of consistency, a little bit of speed, because when you're at the back, you're going to have to improve on that speed, because you do not want to be eliminated in the first round. The risk could be the thing that takes you out of the game.
Oh, Larry, no, this game's so close to not making that jump, but just about did. And right now, honestly, round one, the trick is just make it to the end. There's going to be enough mistakes that you can afford to make a few of your own and still get there. That's exactly what we're seeing, right? It's pinballs at the back. They are just ricocheting from object to object, but it doesn't matter because, look, you're still seeing a lot of these players climb their way back into it. Right now, the player wrist is Samuka, is chasing down the car in front. Oh. And look at that, they've already managed to climb back out. Yog now is a name down at the bottom that we would not expect to see at the bottom this early. Surely he manages to overtake enough players. He has overtaken Samuka heading into this last turn around, and Samuka a little bays back still, not knowing the line to the very end. It's going to be Yog finishing in 48. We're only going to see 4 eliminations. I was maybe even being a little bit too harsh predicting up to 8 on this first round here.
8 may have been a bit brutal, but it's okay, alright? All these players have done what they can. They've done their best. They just need a bit more time to play the game. A little bit like I need to do as well at some point. I'm just going to make it my aim, NuaLaoch, right? Is that I am almost definitely going to be entering into the next week's competition, because I am loving this so far, just to get not knocked out in the first round. But commiserations to the 4 players that have managed to lose on out as we head into the next round, and we'll see who the next 4 players that will be eliminated will be as we get ourselves going.
Again, reminder, Sailor Lake joined the lobby just as that last round was starting, so has had significantly less time to warm up than a lot of these players, so I'm excited to see how that goes. We're on board with Rob Zerver, who is currently just outside that bottom 4 and trying to hold on to that position for the moment. The seed is not a player. What did I say about not knowing safe lines potentially as we head into rounds? That's another big crash from the seed. Doesn't have a great line now. This is big. The person with the best time after time attack currently sitting in 46th place needs to overtake. Surely there will be some crashes in front, Swaces.
There needs to be, especially when you're about to get into the difficult section of the village. That's where he just needs to focus purely on the consistency. A player who should not be right at the bottom, but is catching up right in the end. Is it going to be enough? There is a bit of panic. There is some crashes taking place, and finally a seed finds himself into a bit of safety.
Oh, BMX is right on that line as well. I think might just about scrape a 44th position, maybe a little bit higher. I think it might actually be 44th. No, we got a little bit above it as well. BMX, also a very good player, not one we would have expected to be down here early. Mutex, Nichols, and Richard and Mr. Moo will be the players dropping out here in our 45th to 48th positions. But that's going to be a scary moment. Heart in the mouth for a seed. BMX, as I say, down there, as well as Mutex, I think, is unfortunately full DC. So let's watch the car wiggle for a little while. The player joining in on the camera just to make sure that... oh, yeah.
we're getting to see a nice little bit of Trackmania car action here. Look at that go. What a lap that we are seeing. being taking place right now. But all right, it's unfortunate. These things happen at times. There's always next week to come back in and try your very best. But a seed, that is very unexpected to come out from that sort of player where they made a big mistake, but they managed to fight back to get themselves to safety. That's going to be a bit of a lesson learnt for this map as well, to not try and just overdo it in the early rounds, all right? Just save yourself, find the safe lines now, and make sure that you can complete the lap until you really need to step at the pace again. Because if that mistake happens, let's say in about 3 rounds' time, I almost guarantee that a seed might have found themselves to be out of the competition.
Yeah, and I do like as well what was highlighted in chat by a couple of the players is, honestly, it's scary for a seed, but it's just as scary for the players who are sitting down near the elimination zone and you see that the player behind you is a seed. And you're like, oh no, I'm in danger. Well, speaking of danger, that's Dank TM, the Irishman, crashing repeatedly, but will now make it over. And this is a player now in the elimination zone I don't really want to see going out early.
Hey, look, it's a fellow Irishman. These things happen. I would expect nothing less, to be honest. No NuaLaoch. It's always normal to see them right at the bottom, but there we go. He's right on the edge. Can they manage to get on through? They're up another place. One more person to get ahead of, and they do manage to get around. But this is crazy. It's absolute pain at the back. Nobody knows what's going on. They managed to keep on pushing, but I think they're a little bit too far back to catch up.
Well, I mean, like, sure, we got Dank through, but it looks to be at the expense of both Yatta and Babs, who are also both going, oh, Yatta overtakes Cenas Appel, and that's interesting. Cenas is a very good player. Another excellent Trackmania caster as well. A little bit surprised to see him go out this early on. Unfortunate for Cenas as he drops out in 42nd position, and Babs will DNF just in front of the line. Lucky Error and V's join them. It's already a bloodbath down in these bottom 12 positions.
It's pretty mental. I'm loving the pace of this as well. By the way, have a look at the local records, because we have a new one that is being set. Literally 1,000th of hitting 49 dead on. This is getting ridiculous, NuaLaoch.
Yeah. Kebby has stepped up the pace a lot. Morpio has also overtaken a seed for best times. I'd say after that scare, a seed probably not looking to reclaim that top spot, just focusing on actually getting clean rounds in, making sure they're well clear. And look, with 40 players, 10% of the field is getting eliminated each round at the moment, but you can stay well clear as long as you're capable of driving a 50, 51, even a 52, just cleanly.
Yeah, it's enough, isn't it? That safe spot where a lot of players who are good at the game will be pushing hard, but it's not enough pushing to really be taking the massive risks, okay? You've just got to be secure on your lines.
We're 8 seconds down here.
Is so important. 8 seconds down. Oh no, this is not looking good. It's a big battle at the back, actually. A lot of players. It's a big mistake there by Dura Duo. Can they get back in time? It doesn't look like they can. Oh, just they can! Right at the last second, somehow comes through with a clutch bit of speed.
It's the classic. Someone respawns, it's just off camera, we don't catch it, we're like, he hasn't overtaken anyone on camera. Oh, he's overtaken someone off camera. It's a 36th place. Jura Jojo will stay in the competition for now. We'll say goodbye to Yek, Larry, Yatta. I mean, disappointing, the Irish server. Well, the British and Irish server, I suppose, dropping like flies at the moment. I think Yatta's almost an honorary Irishman at this point. The amount he hangs out in the Irish channel over there. But, you know, we're seeing how it goes. Xerxes as well. Spends a lot of time in there, and Black Pulse crashing out. There goes our mini RPG admin.
Oh, GG's done. He's gave it his best effort. Oh no, actually, that is a big comeback taking place right down in the bottom 3 at the moment, but fights back for another position right back in the place of where they can breathe a little bit more lightly.
Yeah, Walshy and Yogg now the players in the danger zone, and Heave just in front of him again. When you're trying to chase someone down, you don't necessarily want Heave to be the player right in front of you, but there are other players there as well. Maxu overtaken by Walshy. Walshy currently out of the danger zone. The player in front of him is a seed. Once again, not sure how these rounds will be going for a seed. Maybe over-risking slightly, but has kept it clean up until now. Jojo LeFou has been down in these danger zones for a while now, is just about held on, has overtaken Dank right at the finish right now. Rash with a bit too much airtime. Can they still get there in time? It's going to be a drag race to finish. Another crash out behind them. It will be a 32nd place for Rash. And that last crash from the player who was coming up behind, I believe it was Jerka, who just about crashed out, trying to take a risky line. That's what you gotta do, though. You gotta try and take the risks, Swaces.
Oh, you must, but that is still not going to be enough. It looks like all the Irishmen are out of the competition as well. Dang, another
Walsh made it in.
Wait, whoa,
Walsh made it in. Hey, whoa.
Who?
He's
Who?
right there.
Tell me.
Walsh, he's right there. He's right there.
Oh!
He's right there.
Yeah, look, he's at 32nd though. He's right at the bottom. He's out next. Don't you worry, NuaLaoch. Relax yourself.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine. He's only 31st at the moment. Kebby, the player behind him, that's big, and a full respawn for Lost Sheep. That's going to be a player a long way back on the pack right now. Maxu up in an okay position while she goes racing past, is now safely in the comfort zone for the time being. Xerxes a long way back as well, and another full respawn. That's going to be Xerxes very much in trouble. Kebby is the player that my eyes are on at the moment, Swaces. This is the player who currently holds the record on the track.
And they're right down the bottom. We're seeing almost a repeat of what a Cedar to go on through. A seat there as well, still right at the back of the pack, really fighting for survival here. Kebby has seemed to have found himself a bit more speed and gets himself ahead, but a Seed struggling, fighting with the back markers as well. Gets a really good drift and a decent exit as well. Someone respawns, giving him a little bit more comfort, but for how long? Won't be able to keep it together until he gets to the line. Lem wants to try and catch up, can't do it in time, but it seems like a lot of people have crashed out, and a lot of them have managed to find themselves eliminated.
Oh, it got messy at the end there. I think we'd need a replay, go back through the tapes frame by frame to figure out exactly what happened. For me, the big story that round, we finally say goodbye to Sailor Lake, the player who joined during our first round, managing to make it as far as 30th place. I mean, that's impressive, genuinely.
Well, yeah, I mean, 30th place is pretty good. I will agree with you there, NuaLaoch, but now we're heading into the points of where 30th place doesn't even exist anymore. That's the stage that we have managed to get to, NuaLaoch. Fighting for top 24 are all of these players. The Blackpool's the man who we are watching at the moment in time gets a really decent run off that ramp and tries to race on down as we enter into that cave section, as the Blackpool's does find himself above that 25th spot. Rash now is a player in a bit of trouble, trying to hunt down a Seed who is actually trying to run away. Seems to be really struggling in these last little few rounds that we've had here, NuaLaoch. Is this a bit of consistency starting to show through?
Well, you say that, but he's still here. I mean, right now we do just have to mention Looker's Turbo down in the elimination zone. There's a player who we wouldn't expect to be going out this early. That's such a nice inside line, but he'll get punished for it. Had to full risk it. Won't even make the finish. It wouldn't have mattered. The players in front of him had finished. Looker's Turbo dropping out in 26th, 27th. The free fall down the board. It will be, I think, 27th. A little bit surprising. Looker's Turbo, a very strong player. We've seen him get podiums repeatedly in the past. And 28th place for Looker's Turbo. I really liked it. He full risked on that last turn. That's something I talked to you about earlier, Swaces, was that we were going to see players try for that it was going to potentially be round deciding. We're seeing the risks of that. You can get speed, you can get the inside line, but if you drift a little bit too far right on that exit, you're gonna catch your wheels, you're gonna not make the finish.
Exactly, the tiniest little nick on that wheel or any part of your car can just slow you down to almost a full-on stop, or simply just take you off the map altogether. And then that reset costs you so much time. It slows you down to a point of where even at this point, if you're right at the front and you need to reset, you are going to be in that elimination zone, which is why you need to keep it so careful throughout this cave section as well, because you have a big jump right at the end of it, which you need to find yourself to get over. We're seeing Kebby there being able to get over it with no stress whatsoever, fighting their way right back up to the top. Maxu as well, the one fighting for a spot against Scalix, looking to hunt him down, but that's a really wide turn. Can they get the pace back to fight right until the end? But that's another wide line. It doesn't seem like they'll be able to do too much, but a few players have fell off the map, and Maxu survives.
Just about survives there. We'll say goodbye to Black Pulse. I mean, he had a few weeks there in the middle where he got 8th places repeatedly, and since then, I mean, the last couple of weeks, they've not been as clean. I guess, to be fair, he did map one of the weeks and didn't play that one, and that makes things a little bit more awkward. Or maybe he did play it. It's all a blur, honestly, Swaces, but that's an exciting finish to a round. We're heading rapidly towards our top 20, where things calm down briefly. When we get to about 16 players, eliminations will drop from 4 to 2. We'll go from losing on this round a full 5th of the field down to only losing 1 in 8 players, and that's almost a moment where you can take a sigh of relief if you're one of those players who's been consistently near the top.
Exactly, because it's almost the same percentage of you getting taken out of the game as, yeah, that one hurts. Repping the IRL or RLI logo, supposedly, I would say so. And down in 19th place, managed to find it back to 18th, but NuaLaoch, I feel like your heart is heavily into this, so I'll let you take over and hope that Walshy gets himself back.
Deep breaths, everyone. Walshy, look, there's no ice to be found on this track, and that's why he's struggling. This man is clearly, he's basically Mika but Irish now. He's maybe massively overselling his skills, but, you know, we'll do it anyway. He is very slow heading into this finish. He is currently just about surviving. Will he do so? He will indeed. A mistake in front is enough to get Walshy into 15th place. He breaks top 16. It is Neko Jim. It's Beta Toast, I think, the big loss on that round.
Oh, that is a large hit. A DNF is what is smacking their name to the grave in the knockout. They are taken away from the game, taken away from a chance of becoming the champion of week number 10. But we're seeing a lot of players right at the top here. NuaLaoch getting the 49 fours very consistently. That seems to be the target number for players to hit if they want a chance to fight for the top. At the moment, they're not going to really care about fighting for the top. All they want to be is not in that bottom 4.
Absolutely. Well, right now, bottom 2. That's all you need to survive on this round. It's a little bit more relaxing for the players. It's a little bit easier to avoid elimination on this round, in theory, than it was for last round. With that said, Maxu and the Insane still in these 2 elimination positions, and there's a little bit of a gap opening up. Walshy had to respawn. That's not great, but so did Scalix. So did Scalix, and that means Scalix, I'm not sure. Either way, he's behind Walshy, and it's him and the Insane. The Insane still a full second behind that. There comes the Insane. He's neck and neck with Scalix. It does not matter. They still need to catch up someone, and at this point, you're hoping for a mistake at the end. You're hoping if it be Walshy, if it be someone else, Walshy might be the only person who you can catch at this point. Walshy gets it clean. You need someone else to have made a mistake. No one has. The Insane and Scalix will drop out 15th and 16th place.
Oh, when you see someone that far behind you, if you are Walshy, you know that all you've got to do is keep it together. Let your blood be cool. Don't let it boil over, because that is when you'll go smashing into that final jump and completely fall off the edge and also fall out of the tournament. But they still fight on. Walshy with a big chance here as well. Hopefully they can manage to make their way into the top 12, as that would be a pretty good finish. But also, I would expect them to possibly go a little bit further, NuaLaoch.
Oh, well, you'd hope so. Anyway, the story of the last round definitely was the Insane dropping out.
48.
Our 3rd place, and our 48.9 was a seed last time round, setting a new record into the 48s. Kind of impressive. Kind of impressive. As, yeah, no, it's Insane at the top right now. It's Insane at the back as well. We're definitely in these rounds now where consistency and just getting a clean run is going to be important. It's going to be pure pace now at this point almost that decides some of these rounds. Maxu, I think, finding that out the hard way, really hasn't made a major error, but is still 3 seconds nearly off the lead. Behind him is Heave, and Heave, I think, looking to have actually made a bit more big mistake, and Robserver has made a mistake as well. The player who was having some woes with crashes earlier on the server has made a mistake. But Tarpoor crashed out, and he crashes the end, and Observer is safe. And with a comedy of errors at the finish line, Tarpoor and Heave will drop in 13th and 14th.
Oh my goodness, it was chaos right until the very last turn. That little jump at the end catches so many people off guard. It doesn't matter how much experience you have in the game. One slight misjudgment will spell out the end of your tournament run, as we are heading right into that top 12. And look who is in it. It is none other than Walshy.
Yeah, well, she's still on it. Look, we don't need to hype the Irishman up too much. He might get stage fright, alright? But this is the round. This decides who gets onto our Liquipedia page this week. It's not going to be Walshy, I'll tell you that now for free. That's a mistake, and he won't have the speed. That clip was brutal. It was not the right place to make a mistake and not respawning instantly. That's the problem. Mini RPG, it forces these decision points every time, Swaces. Whether it's in turn, deciding whether or not you want to risk it, or deciding when to respawn after a mistake. Sometimes it needs to be a little bit earlier. Look, it's not dead just yet. There could still be a mistake in front. It seems unlikely, though. These players are clean to the end. Maxu is currently in 11th and catching the side of the wheels. That's a massive slowdown for the player, heading off the pipe, and it was exactly like we were warned by the map. But that pipe will catch some people out. BMX is back. It's behind Maxu. How did that happen? BMX made a mistake in front. We didn't see it happen. Maxu sneaks into 10th place as Walshy will try and crawl on home.
Oh, this hurts to see. Look at him go. He's just enjoying himself now, doing a couple flips, doing a couple turns, getting on the 2 wheels. He's enjoying his time. He knows that his last moments are on him right now. So he just wants to live the life, live the enjoyment, be on top of the world as he races across the village on the roofs as well. And finally, oh.
I mean, that's unfortunate.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Got so close, but couldn't do it. Brilliant.
It'll be fine. Look, we're inside the top 10. Unfortunately, BMX dropping out. He managed to remember the edition was happening this week, but unfortunately could not make the top 10, and so history will not remember him in the form of a Liquipedia page. These players will be remembered. It'll be clean up until the end. Now you hope mistakes are going to be so costly, and there is one for Jura Jojo. That is probably Jura Jojo going out. I believe I just saw someone flying off the edge as well there, did I? Yes. Rob Zerver back into 8th place, just trying to carry the speed, hoping to still make this quarter pipe. Will do so pretty cleanly, but forced to take a very compromised line into that, and now you are fully hoping for a full crash from someone in front. We've seen it happen. We saw it happen to BMX on the last lines, on the last round, Swaces, but it's a big hope at this point.
It is a very big hope. I feel like this pipe section here as well is another area where you really want to see someone fly off the edge to their peril, but I don't think it's going to happen here for Rob Server unless it will be a big mistake from Maxu, and he actually gets overtaken right at the end as well, just to send him all the way down into 10th place, but top 10 is still a formidable finish.
Top 10, it's a great finish. It's a very strong one indeed. 10th for Observer, 9th for Jura Jojo. Heading now into our top 8. We are one more round with 2 players being eliminated. When we get down to 6, it will be 1 player at a time. Let's see who goes out now. There's a lot of very good players left in this one. There's a couple of players who've been so consistent that I don't think we've mentioned them in a very long time. I don't even remember seeing Sussy TM before now.
Nope. That is a name which is definitely new to the server. They have just joined for this round, but apparently they're gods from the very start. I know that hasn't happened. I may not know TrackMania, but I'm not quite that stupid. I'm near to it, but not quite at that level, alright? But we are seeing that Astronauten, what the hell is that name, is trying to fight for a bit of survival here, racing through the caves. Maxu in his sights. Needs to get a perfect run through this. Maxu actually messing up on his turn. Gives a chance for Astronauten to catch up here a little bit as well. This turn could be pivotal to the movement. They're fighting toe to toe right on the end. Who will make a mistake? It seems to be Maxu. Astronauten does make it over the end, crosses the line in 6th, and his survival run carries on.
Astronaut just about makes it over that jump. Took a little bit of a riskier line, but had the speed to do it. Well calculated. I've been given the information that Sussy is Lingo, who is a player that we know and love here on Mini RPG of the Week. Look, we definitely know him. He's played very well in some previous weeks, has had some very high finishes. So not a name that we're that it's surprised to see up there. Astronaut, no idea if that is someone as well. With the club chag changed to ISS as well, I have a feeling that could be someone that we should know as well, but we'll wait for chat to confirm that for us. In the meantime, we're into our top 6. It is 1 elimination per round from this point out. We are 5 rounds, I should say, away from deciding the winner of the 10th edition. There goes Astronaut. And they will not be flying to space today.
I don't think they will. They're going to have to hope and pray for a mistake from somebody else, but it seems highly unlikely. We are seeing the top 2 local record runners, Aseed and Kebi, up in that first 2 spots. I feel like those 2 might be the ones battling it out in the grand final. But Ashton Autumn here just really having his own side run. But Kebi, that's a massive surprise! A huge mistake! Sees him right down at the back. Ashton Autumn just needs to keep it together, makes that last jump with ease, and gets himself through. Kebi from being the top 2 in the records right down into the gutter.
One of 2 players on the server to have broken underneath 49 seconds. Kevi will go out in the first round of single elimination. He's gone. The way is wide open now to the podium. Aseed still here. Insane gone a while ago. The two of the top 3 players on the server are now gone. Aseed, you have to feel is the favorite from here on out, but anything definitely can, probably will happen from here.
You can never predict what Trackmania is going to set up next for you, NuaLaoch. Even I don't know what's going to happen. We're seeing Sly here being a little bit slow around this first section of the track, getting into the halfway point and seeing that cave in his sights. He does not want to hit any of the barrels here and really wants to perfect this speed drift and does do it quite nicely, but it's still not enough to catch up to Sassy TM.
Yeah, it's not quite enough to catch up to Sussy, who is running away with it. I hate saying that. Thanks a lot, Lingo. I really appreciate that. That's such a good line, but Astronaut has the inside. Astronaut then has the better line up to the finish. Helsinki and Sly are neck and neck. Heading down to this last turn. Helsinki has speed. Sly has a clip and will not even make the finish. Helsinki clutching up when they absolutely needed to.
Oh, it is really down to the wire now, isn't it? The single most tiny little error you make will cause the end of your tournament. The top 4 is all that we're left with now, ladies and gentlemen. NuaLaoch, I want to hear what you think is going to happen in this round. We're seeing the 4 players in front of us. Which name do you think is going to be the one to walk away from this tournament?
I mean, you have to put money on a seed at this point, I think. He has cleaned up the consistency from early rounds, has proven he can drive it faster than anyone else, and it's just off this start even. He's already pulling away with it a little bit. I think whatever happens, I'm hoping for it to come down to the end. It has claimed so many lives on so many rounds at this point as players try to risk it just a little bit more as the desperation strikes. Sussy. The quarter pipe will be all it takes to catch out Sussy. A barrel will join in and a rock piles on just for good measure.
Oh, it hurts to see. It really does hurt to see. But there could still be a little bit more to the tale if any of these players make even the slightest mistake as they get towards the final section. Onto the roofs they go, trampling over all the houses in this lovely little village. But still nobody will make an error and slip off one of the tiles on top and fight their way through to the very end, as we now have our top 3 of a seed, Helsinki and Astronautum.
Podium is locked in right now. The question is, what does our top 2 look like? What is our final? Again, you do have to bet that someone is. Yeah, it's Astronaut with a TM at the end. I have been laughing at you calling them Astronautum, but I wasn't correcting you because it was really funny.
I've only just noticed this.
Yeah, but in fact, listen, Swaces, the point is it's top 3, alright? We can castigate you as much as we want after it. Helsinki has fallen behind early, but will carry a bit of speed into this quarter pipe. Jump speed into a quarter pipe, not what you want. What you want is a clean quarter pipe, and that was clean from both Astronaut and a seed in front. Helsinki is chasing, but at this point, you need a mistake. The gap is slightly too big. 3/10, 4/10 almost is not enough to make up on these last few turns with driving you feel. Helsinki tries to risk it, just full sends it on the pipe. It was the right decision, Swaces, but sometimes even the right decision can get punished.
No, it is not one at all. Unfortunately, I was hoping someone would make a mistake just as big as I have this whole stream long with calling people the complete wrong names, because apparently I don't know that the things called T and M exist. But now I know it's Elite Astronaut because he is in the final, and rounding up against him is the mightiest seed with the lap record.
Lap record on a seed. Astronaut needs to drive an incredible round here for it. Has had slightly quicker starts off the line there, but you can see the line that a seed takes on that start and has taken all server long is to go a little bit further back and carry just that much more speed. It's opened up nearly a 4/10 gap to Astronaut already. Nearly 5/10 as we head into the middle of the track. It's slightly better from Astronaut. Ooh. Gets a little bit of a better transition there. Has closed some of that gap to a seed. Ooh. Now the quarter pipe, a seed is getting gained on a little bit. Astronaut is carrying this, is pushing it, is trying to risk a little bit, but a seed had built up enough of a gap off that early strat of going a little bit wide that he had the space. Astronaut is so low off that jump, and he takes a full inside line. He's overtaken a seed into the last couple of turns. A seed this time, he's inside. Astronaut has the full risk on the roof. A seed has speed. Astronaut is inside, and on the finish line, Astronaut will take it by just mere tenths of a second.
Oh, it is back and forth right to the very last corner, and somehow Astronautum, that's right, I'm going to say the name wrong because I'm so hyped about what has just taken place. He is straight into the stratosphere. Nothing is holding him down. A seed in the dust, and Astronaut with the first place trophy.
You have to love a bit of Trackmania. You have to love some mini RPG, and you have to love the fact that after all of that intense action, we cut back to our stupid faces with our stupid faces behind it, Swaces. Look, what an exciting end to the competition that was. What a great way to end it. Honestly, I love it when we get just pure pace, just back and forth driving, risk from both drivers a little bit in the middle there. A seed especially trying to play it a little bit safe with the lead he had, and it was just fully sent by Astronaut in the midsection of that track.
Oh, just somehow Astronaut managed to find so much speed out of absolutely nowhere. But Acid as well, as they were entering into that village section, just managed to get such a good exit onto the roofs. But as soon as that next section came around, where they had to make that really tight left on top of the roofs, Astronaut seemed to have this line where he went really wide onto the entry section of village and managed to utilize almost the curvature of the roofs to slow himself down enough to where he could get a really nice drift around and almost just project himself forward towards that jump where he took that tiny little shortcut, which was the difference in him taking the title. The most tiny little margins, the smallest little changes, the most difficult little adjustments to make was exactly what was needed by Astronaut to allow himself to get straight to the top, take down the mightier seed, and claim himself as the champion.
Yeah, an absolutely incredible finish to what was a very, very enjoyable edition of Mini RPG of the Week. Huge credit to Mr. Big Lose. That was a very fun map to watch. I'm sure it was a very fun map to drive as well. We saw a few compliments from players in the server. I think much deserved. Not just a fun map to drive, not just well routed, but just an incredibly pretty map as well. That is going to wrap things up for us here on Mini RPG of the Week for edition number 10. Stick around on the channel though. This Friday, the Artifact RPG Cup will be happening 8 p.m. CEST. I mean, it's been in the works for a very long time. Behind the scenes, a huge amount of work from the Frontiers mapping team has gone into that. Details are on the RPG server as always, so type !Discord in the chat if you're not already over there. You still have a little bit of time to try and break into the top 32 to get into that map, but I gotta tell you, it's going to be incredibly difficult from this point. These players have been hunting for a week or two at this point already, and all you have is until Thursday to get it done. It seems unlikely. Swaces, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed your first Trackmania casting experience.
Oh, it was incredible. I'm seeing just Astronaut in chat saying that he's going to go and watch this back. Please don't. Or just do it muted. I beg. I actually do beg that you do not listen to the audio, because I may or may not have messed up a little bit with your name. But now I figured out that TM does mean Trackmania, not TM at the end of every single person's name or the start of it. It took me too long to figure out. But other than that, I loved it, NuaLaoch. Genuinely so much fun to go along and watch and cast over. So I really appreciate you bringing me on for this. I would love to come back and do another one again.
Yeah, well, it won't be next week. We do have another mystery guest joining me for next week, but Swaces, I'm sure we will see you back in future. Thank you again for joining us, and don't forget to join the server, join Mini RPG of the Week. We'll be back here for edition number 11 next Wednesday.